Now, I have two young men, Michael and Daniel here, keeping me honest. They're going to ask me some questions. But what I have done since my last video is I've got quite a bit of stuff to send to the Ukraine, and I did say that I don't mind having a stand on things, even if they don't necessarily at first seem to pertain to everything immediately in life. Like, my biggest concern is either you take a stand on one thing or another, or, basically, often people do have an opinion, but they won't share it for fear of it not getting them what they want. So I'd say one of the things that's going around a lot in politics these days, particularly last mayor and a lot of the candidates, is to avoid certain topics, and or even coming down on the side of something that's current news or a current event. Even because if it doesn't get your vote to be mayor of the city of Toronto, they're not interested. Myself, I drew the line before this campaign even started. I got to know intimately more about what's going on in Ukraine, and I already had formulated some of my own ideas. And basically, I decided that I had the means with a lot of my father's stuff that he bought out an outfitting store at one time before he passed away. And if I appealed to some of the people I know, I could get a lot of stuff to send to the Territorial Defense Forces. One of the people that work for me is Ukrainian, and I found out that a great deal of the forces that are defending Ukraine are a regular militia of sorts. They call the Territorial Defense Forces. They don't have very much. So you might say, well, the Russians are depleted and whatever. And though the West makes it sound like we're sending great material and arms to them in great numbers, to be honest, the bulk of the infantry, a lot of them don't have a lot of small necessities, from gun cleaning to things that create comfort or camouflage or whatnot. So I'm going to send whatever I can, and that's just, I want people to know I'm not going to stop doing it because now I'm running for mayor, first of all. Two, this is where I stand, so I won't hide suddenly because this war is still going on, and three, I pick sides, and I pick sides with Torontonians, and I'm picking sides with Ukrainians. Theory is a great phrase I picked up when I was at the rally that our Prime Minister, Premier, and Mayor came to, and at the time, and basically it boils down to this, and I don't know that if it was repeated on stage, but I heard it by somebody in the crowd, that if Russia stops fighting, the war will be over. Because as you can see, it's not offensive on the Ukrainians' part or NATO's. No one's moving into Russian territory. So the Russians could simply stop and it would be over and withdraw. But if the Ukrainians stop fighting, Ukraine will cease to exist. And anyone that understands bully politics or bullies even in the schoolyard, you'll realize pandering to a bully will get you nowhere. So really, there is no choice but to support the Ukraine. And it may seem like an oxymoron, but basically, if you want peace, you have to make sure the Ukraine can hold steadfast enough that Russia will decide it's too much trouble and give up. Whether or not they do anything about their leadership, that's a whole other matter. Second of all, you can talk about who's fighting and what's force, but I'm going to tell you this. Take a look at the Russian regime. And capitalist isn't great either. Some of the leadership that's been, that's bandied about here, that's in the capitalist nations, the G20 and NATO. But besides that, it's clear that Putin and his regime are the far worse evil. And I'll use that term in this case because they're the aggressor, the belligerent, as it's often called in the International Court of Law when there's war crimes. They're the belligerent that started this, and it was unnecessary. Whether or not they're being taunted because there was no one step beyond West Germany way back when the Iron Curtain came down, that's irrelevant because really all those countries existed, and some that aren't even there now, existed at one other time as independent nations. It's their right to decide what they want to do, right? So they want to be a part of NATO or they want to be free, that's their business. And, I'm going to side with the Ukrainians, and I'm going to pack up all this stuff because since my last video, I've got a ton of stuff. Utility belt, more binoculars, gun cleaning stuff, holsters for officers, gun caps, repair things, trail cams, scope mounts. Call went out. A lot of my friends up north and in the city whose family used to hunt, or they are still avid hunters, great people, decided to pitch in. I dug deeper into stuff that I'm going to let go. It's hard. I'm sentimental. I used to hunt with my father. And then there's some other stuff that I have, and it's all going to the Ukraine. So I'm going to pack it up.